All right, now that's what I'm talking about, creators of Arrow and The Flash. This is what I wanted out of the Flash crossover, or not this exactly for a few reasons, but this was actually not too. I don't like to engage in hyperbole all that much, but this might be the best episode of Arrow's third season thus far. Now, I'm of course talking about The Brave and the Bold. Nice title. I see what you did there. And Barry Allen comes to Starling City to help out the Arrow because the Arrow is working a case against Captain Boomerang, who it turns out is an ex-Argus agent. He was a former member of the Suicide Squad, and he is coming after his former commander, who was Diggle's fiance, or Diggle's ex-wife, Lila. So there's that. And yeah, I really liked this episode. First of all, similar to how the Flash episode was, this episode was primarily about Oliver Queen, which I don't think there was much of a risk of the Flash stealing his spotlight so much as there was a risk of him stealing the Flash's spotlight in the Flash's episode, but still, it's nice to see that since this is technically an episode of Arrow, the main focus anyway, is on the Arrow. The Flash is a supporting character, as are his supporting characters, Caitlin Snow and Cisco. No Dr. Wells, which, hey, you might find Dr. Wells pretty creepy. At times I do, but hey, that can only mean good things for Tom Cavanaugh, am I right? So what did I like about this episode? Well, again, the dynamic between the two heroes was just spot on. I really liked how they played off of each other. The script gave them more substantive material to work with, aside from Oliver being the more experienced one and Barry being the rookie. I mean, that really was what the Flash episode, that really did comprise most of their dialogue in the Flash episode. Here, it's about Oliver growing as a person, and I even liked how they tied it into the flashbacks, because the flashbacks, Amanda Waller tasks him with torturing this one guy to find out where he hid a bomb that could kill hundreds of people. So ultimately he fails, and that is where he learned the lesson. You know, sometimes you have to resort to things like torture to get through to some people. Some people can't be reasoned with. Some people, extreme measures are the only way to get through to extreme people. So that is why he is the way he is now, and he sees that as a way that Waller drove some of the humanity out of him. But Barry says, well, obviously you do have some humanity left, otherwise you would just be killing people. So Barry actually had a reason to be here in terms of advancing Oliver's character. So there was that, and also the interactions between the side characters I thought was much stronger. It was much more natural. It seemed like these actors know each other more by this point. They're more familiar with each other, so they're more comfortable with each other. And as a result, the interactions felt more, like I said, more natural. And again, the villain is really good. The villain is Captain Boomerang. I'm not really sure how accurate this is to the Captain Boomerang of the comics, because really the only Captain Boomerang I'm familiar with was the sort of Cockney version with in the blue jacket and the blue hat from the Suicide Squad, or the Batman Assault on Arkham. That's really the only version of Captain Boomerang I'm familiar with. I know of him, but I don't really know what his character is like. Nick Tarabay's Captain Boomerang is a very different interpretation, but at the same time, he still throws these signature boomerangs. I really like how Nick Tarabay played him, because he's menacing, he's effective, he's charismatic, and he leaves enough of an impression because of the development that they give to him and the motivation that they give to him. He has a clear motivation in that he was a former member of the Suicide Squad who they tried to axe off when the mission went south, and he's come back for vengeance. Very understandable motivation. So you have a really good villain here who does not take away screen time from Arrow and the Flash and their dynamic. And that was really one of the things that I thought was the problem with the Flash episode. The Flash episode really devoted most of its time to interactions between Oliver and Barry and minimal time on the villain, hence why the villain felt really underdeveloped in last night's Flash episode. Or, at this point, it's 2 nights ago, whatever. In the Flash episode, the villain was underdeveloped, as a lot of his villains often are. Either that or they just suck, with the exception of Captain Cold and the guy who stole Barry's powers. But again, I digress. This was a very, very accomplished episode. I loved the character interactions. I love how the flashbacks tied into the present day. I love the dynamic between the two heroes. The villain is very good. And the fact that he has been thrown into a prison with Slade Wilson, coupled with the fact that I read Manu Bennett is coming back eventually this season, does signal to me, there's going to be a team up between Deathstroke and Captain Boomerang. So I can't wait for that. Although I have to wonder if that was deliberate, throwing Crixus and Asher into one cell headed by the second Navia. So I have to wonder if that is deliberate. Just wait for Mira to break them out. Yeah, if you don't get Spartacus, then I just made a whole bunch of references that flew right over your head. I'm sorry for that. But yeah, really good episode. The action was good. The acting was good. The dynamics were much stronger. The story was much stronger. The villain was much stronger. Everything was just so much stronger this episode. And this is what I think the crossover. This is the potential that I thought the crossover in The Flash failed to live up to. Because The Flash, it was very standard, but it didn't really have a whole lot to it aside from, going through the motions. The heroes interact, they fight for a little bit, and then they get into a full-fledged brawl. So this one actually weaved a clever story around that. So again, really strong episode, probably the best in season 3 so far, and it actually has me more optimistic about these shows being so tightly knit and so close to each other, right down to the same creative team, and how they frequently have characters that go on to one show and then go on to another show, like the Clock King. So it actually has me more optimistic for this shared universe now that I've seen the potential that it can live up to, and I actually... Oh, and another plus. Minimal usage of Thea and Laurel. Good. Keep the characters who I don't like out of it. Some characters were kind of underused, like Roy, but again, Thea and Laurel, who are not good characters in my opinion, their screen time was so minimal, which, again, can only lead to good things. So, yeah, really like this one.